joins us to tell us the truth about sweetness. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back. Well, are the sweeteners, sucrose and fructose, responsible for all the chronic diseases that are rampant in our society? And why is there so much controversy over the facts? The facts are: high fructose corn syrup was invented in 1966 in Japan. It is now found in 55% of processed pre-packaged food. Adolescents are taking in 73 grams per day. 12% of their total caloric intake is from fructose alone. And joining us now to discuss this is speaker, researcher and author for Zestos, David White. Welcome to the show, David. Okay, of course those stats are actually American stats, but they give us the kind of story of that'll help us to understand what we're talking about today. So why has there been an increase in the consumption of fructose and sucrose?
Because we like it. What we do is when we eat some sugar we feel better, and so therefore we like it. But the thing is with sugar, just like coffee or other drugs as well, you need to keep on increasing your dose to have the same effect. So if you eat an apple, it tastes really nice and sweet, but if you've had a lolly and eat an apple, then the apple doesn't taste sweet. So when a new product's developed, obviously they're going to put sugar in it, so it tastes nice.
And then you're going to want to consume more, and that's going to be great for the company that makes it, obviously.
Right.
What's the difference between sucrose and fructose?
Fructose is a molecule by itself, whereas sucrose is made up of two molecules, one being glucose and the other one being fructose.
Okay, and of course fructose is one of the components that's removed in the sucrose refining process. Yeah. It's kind of the little baddie, one of the little baddies that's removed. So why has it become a product that we use so much?
It was because of the low glycemic index, or GI. Sugar's got quite a high, sucrose has got a high glycemic index, whereas fructose has got quite a low glycemic index because it doesn't pump glucose into your bloodstream, and so therefore it was thought to be healthy. And
it's cheaper to use to make products. Is that correct?
It's easier to use because it's a liquid form. So the fructose is a high fructose syrup, and so therefore it's easier to transport around a factory. It's easier to mix. It's easier to blend, and so therefore it's more useful.
And it's 20% sweeter than sucrose,
yes,
or general sugars. Okay, so are these sweeteners actually responsible for all the chronic diseases that we have rampant in our society now, such as high blood pressure, heart disease?
That's a really difficult question, because humans, you can't pinpoint exactly why things go wrong, because you can't study them. It would be unethical to put person A on a 10-year diet that might be detrimental to them versus B, someone on a healthy diet. So it's very hard to say that exactly is causing these issues. But high sucrose intake and high starch intake in the Western world is part of the reason why we have these chronic diseases.
Okay, so fructose is not part of that?
Fructose could well be part of that because it has a different metabolism than glucose or starches, and so it's processed in your liver. Your liver's got to turn fructose into glucose so your body can handle it.
So the initial reports were that fructose was good for us, or better for us than other sugars. Is that still the research that's coming out?
Things are starting to change. Like anything, it's good in small amounts, but as soon as you start to pour it all over your food, then your liver starts to have problems, and then there's issues around fatty liver and breaking down in the liver because you're putting too much stress on it by the fructose you're putting through.
And of course these sweeteners just turn into carbohydrate anyway, so what's the impact on those that have the potential to be obese?
Well, when you eat lots of sugar, you lose the ability to lose weight, because when there's lots of glucose swimming around in your bloodstream, then the brain and the body will use that glucose instead of using fat stores. So when you have a high sugar diet, it's very hard to lose weight, and so therefore that's why we have one of the reasons we have so many obese people.
What about insulin resistance? Is that a result of high levels of consumption of these sugars?
Of glucose, yes, which sucrose is obviously half made up of glucose, and same with starches as well. Because what happens is when you eat these foods, you get a big spike in your blood sugar levels, your pancreas goes berserk and makes a whole lot of insulin to get rid of that blood sugar, and then what happens is your blood sugars go negative, or compared to when you're eating the food, because there's too much insulin, so it shuts off all the insulin production. And after decades of doing that, the pancreas says, I've had enough. And so then you get insulin resistance and then you get diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Okay, because there has been the claim too that fructose and sucrose maybe do not actually elevate blood pressure or cause weight gain themselves, and so those that are diabetic or are actually encouraged to use this product.
That's one of the ironies, I guess, of when we get a specialist looking at a particular view. They don't look at the body as a whole, and so therefore when they say you've got insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, have fructose because it doesn't mess with your blood sugars. That's true, but then you're messing with your liver. Okay. And then there's other health effects, and so therefore we need to take a more general picture of the health of the body and work out what's healthiest overall.
Okay, so what's the worst thing about these sweeteners?
The worst thing about the sweeteners is your body wasn't designed to handle them the way that they are. So cane sugar, we eat on average about 1 kilo of white sugar every week, being Westerners, and so you don't find white sugar in a natural environment. You find apples that have a bit of sugar in them, but then when you eat them, that's a slow digestion. You find, bananas are very high in sugar, or grapes, but there's still a digestion process that has to go on in that. And white sugar, it's kind of, there's no nutrients left in it.
Okay, there's people that could actually be called sugarholics,
Yes.
which anyone can become, I imagine. With a bit of a sweet tooth, you could become a sugarholic.
Yes.
Is that actually a diagnosis or a condition?
What happens is when you eat sugar and eat sweetnesses, it targets the same molecules in the brain that heroin and morphine target. And so there's a lot of brain research that says that when you eat sugar and feel good, that's actually physiologically happening in your brain. And it's not just sugar. Apparently it's the sweet taste that does that. So the artificial sweeteners and all the rest of it do the same thing.
That is very powerful, isn't it?
It's very powerful.
And of course, because it's not considered such a bad thing as morphine or
Yes.
alcohol, we don't see it like that.
We don't see it.
Should we be seeing it like that?
Yeah, we should. And the lack of support, like anyone who's an alcoholic, for example, there's lots of support networks to help people get off that, whereas for food and for sweeteners, there's nowhere near the support because it's socially acceptable.
Is it just as easy, or just as difficult, I should say, to wean yourself off sugar as it is alcohol or drugs?
I don't know, because for me, I know that I have a sugar addiction right now because, long story, but I've never thought I did until I tried to get off the sugar. And when I tried to get off the sugar, then I realised I had the issue. And see, that's one of the problems with addiction. You can't scientifically define what an addiction is. But if someone has, if I come off the sugar, I get grumpy, I get tired, I get my mood swings, all these kind of things. And so which are indicators that there is an addictive process in that.
Well, maybe you could do some research on yourself and put that on your blog, and we can all read it so we can help ourselves get off it.
I'll definitely do that.
There's also those that are intolerant to fructose.
Yes.
Do you wish you were one of those?
No, because people who are intolerant for fructose can often have problems eating high fructose fruits. I really enjoy eating fruits, so it's one of the pleasures in life, I think.
Okay, so for those who would like to start thinking about avoiding these sugars, particularly sucrose and fructose, what do we look for on the ingredients list on the back of the product?
It's a great question. What you need to do, instead of looking at the ingredients list, if you have a look at the breakdown of the food, and then you'll see one of the columns is per 100 grams. And so on a food, if it's got more than 10 grams of sugar in 100 grams, or more 10 grams in fat, then you should be avoiding that food.
That's really good information, really. How important is this, and is it something that we should do as we're getting older, or is this something we should be training our children to do?
This is something definitely we should be training our children to do. Heart disease risks, the years are coming down, the cancers are increasing in the younger age group, and so therefore we should be learning as adults to do it, but also teaching those around us, the ones we love, to do it. Both our grandparents or parents and our children.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It sounds like such a basic, almost silly interview in a way, but the information is so important and valuable. So thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, coming up, first of all, if you'd like to go onto David's website, you can. It's zestos.co.nz, and you can find the link to his blog on there also. Coming up next week, we're going to be joined by the Deputy Commissioner, Families Commissioner, Bruce Pilbrow, and he'll be joining us to talk about parenting in New Zealand. Don't forget you can email us indepth@tvmg.co.nz, and also you can check out more about us, check out our programming on our websites, TV Central or tvrotorua.co.nz. That's those stories in depth. I'm Janine Forlong. We'll see you next time.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand.